Hi, I'm Megan Washington and I am in a band narcissistically named Washington. I'm from Australia and I am here visiting. What do you call this place? The land of the long white cloud. Is it cloud?
Yeah, it's
Land of the long white crowd. And I just have had way too much coffee and it's only 11 o'clock. So the story, I guess, of how I got here is that I studied composition and jazz voice at university, like a giant nerd. And I kind of had a mini sort of life as a jazz singer in my sort of late teens and early 20s. Until I was like 20, so whatever. And then, I just felt like jazz was kind of not really, it was kind of miserable and upset. So I moved to Melbourne from Brisbane and I got a gig in this rock band, this kind of smiley, psychedelic rock band called Old Man River. And I played in that band for a while. I also played with Ben Lee and his band for a bit. And then everything sort of wrapped up and I thought, well, I might just have a go. So I started my little... It was actually... Washington kind of started out as a recording project. I met this guy called John Castle, who's my producer, and now he's the drummer in the band, and we just made a bunch of demos and put them on Triple J Unearthed, which is a website in Australia for this radio station called Triple J. And they unearthed us in 2008 in January of 2008 for Big Day Out, where it's just like they play your song and you get to play a festival. Which was quite funny because it was a recording project and we had just made the recordings just the two of us, and suddenly we needed a band in a week. So we just roped in all our mates and made this crappy band and played at Big Day Out to like 4 security guards and like 18 sort of diehard 16-year-old girls who were all like wearing matching outfits with fairy wings and shit. It was really funny. And I just kind of went from there, went on the road and did a bunch of stuff, and now here I am in Auckland. I don't know. It was a weird sort of moment. I remember the first show that I played, after playing dozens and dozens of shows. I guess it's the difference between like every time you go out meeting strangers or meeting friends, I remember the first gig where actually a few people started to sing my lyrics back to me. And it was the weirdest sort of feeling. I almost felt like I'd been spied on or, kind of stalked somehow. Like, I was like, how do you know that about? Like, how do you know that? I wrote that, asleep, or that was about a dream, or it's like such a personal thing. Like when the personal becomes universal, it's quite a really exciting but also kind of very alarming kind of feeling for me. I'm kind of used to it now because I don't feel like those songs really belong to me anymore. They kind of belong to the ether. But that was quite a process, quite a transient process, doing like the 12 steps, coming to terms with the reality of what it is that you do. I grew up in Papua New Guinea and I moved to Brisbane when I was 11. I do really think that had a lot to do with not so much what I do now, but the way that I do it. In Papua New Guinea, there's no youth culture. There's no, I don't know what you call it here, but like surf shops and radio stations and lip smackers and like there's none of that stuff that sort of defines you as a generation. Like there was no Bratz dolls or nothing like that, and so I would just hang out in my house. And the other thing about PNG is you can't go outside and play because you'll get kidnapped. So sounds a little dramatic, but it's true. Like, so I just kind of grew up in my house with my sister and my mum and my dad, and they sort of filled our house with lots of old musicals and records, and there was a piano and a guitar, and me and my sister would do the thing we put on the show and charge our parents to come and see it. And you know, I think it really cultivated an idiosyncratic artistic identity for me, because like my songs are a little bit show tuney. They are a little bit sort of, you know, Rodgers and Hammerstein, like tiny bit. There's a bit of that in there, you know. There's a bit of Rosemary Clooney in the way that I sing, because I listen to so much Rosemary Clooney and Judy Garland and Ella Fitzgerald and Ann Miller, and you know, really, that's not a common kind of flavour in a lot of people, a lot of other musos that I know. Like, lots of people grew up listening to like the Velvet Underground and like, you know, Teenage Fan Club, and I had my rock and roll phase. It started about 6 months ago. And someone gave me a Clash record and I was like, wow, this is awesome. Have you heard The King and I? It's amazing. Like that's kind of the exchange, which is quite weird, but I have thought a lot about it, and I can sort of source it back to that time in PNG when I had no exposure to popular culture. Never watched The Simpsons until I was like 13, which was in like 1999. So like, you know, that's a bit late. So I guess I did have quite a weirdly isolated childhood, and I think that has made me, I mean, some would say a bit of a nutbag, but you know, just that has really influenced the kind of music that I make, and the things that really sort of get me off, which is like top hats and tails and like, you know, canes and like show tunes and stuff, you know. It's like that's really in there. Thanks for watching. This is my record. It's called I Believe You Liar, and it's out in March. That's me under the sheet there. I have anyway, you've been watching Cheese on Toast. See you later.